Yeah.
And we're live. Padres talking Padres. We got two Padres here for the price of one. Jay cannot be here. Sorry we're late. We just found out that Jay could not be here. So that's why we're late. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he's not here to defend himself, and it's only his fault that he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
As always, I'm here with Jerry. I'm Jack, and we're here to talk about the Padres. They start spring training. But I wanted to talk about something. Eric Grumpner, whatever his name is, the president of the Padres. He's been talking during spring training, and he was talking about the TV contract. And Jerry and I know we talked about it before, or maybe it was even last week with Jay, about how can they not get any kind of contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he basically said nobody's giving. It's almost like a dead business, as he says, for like a local TV deal. You can't get it.
Yeah.
So that's why the Padres don't have a TV contract. And it's to me, and the whole time I'm thinking, I go, well, how are they going to generate revenue? Because they have a sold out stadium. The park in the park is filled. Where's the extra revenue going to come from if they can't get a TV? I mean, losing out on that $60 million has been painful.
Yeah. My understanding is, though, Jack, is they do have a contract through MLB. But it's not as lucrative as all your private contracts,
right? Well, I get that,
but
it's
not even talking about the Dodgers with their $330 million, which was made in a market where they can say whatever they want. It was a fortunate market for them because there was a lot of bidding going on when they made their latest contract. Since then, the market is, as you said, is kind of dying, and we've had a bankrupt with the Diamond Sports has gone bankrupt. So much like radio, TV, with streaming and everything else that's going on, it impacts the sports packages too. Now, I think, in my mind at least, football still has contracts because it's easy and concise to be able to take a one-day snapshot and say, this is our day, whether it's Monday night, whether it's the Sunday package, Thursday night. You have a very tight-in audience, whereas baseball, you got possibly 15 different games going on, so 1/15th, is not necessarily as attractive. And obviously Diamond Sports found that out because they had individual with about 10 teams, I believe it was.
Yes,
and
10 to
3,
12, I think.
I know the Padres were, I think, the second one to fall out because they didn't get the payment. They've what do they call that? Reconstructed. Yeah. And so now they have a few other teams now on the hook, or that are back in favor, so to speak, with contracts, but very, very limited. And Padres are one of, I believe, 9 that are on the MLB network package now.
Yeah,
but I think they do get paid for that still. But there's just not any numbers out there for me to show.
Yeah, I've never seen a number on it. I mean, I know it's not 60 million.
No.
And plus, they also were getting paid before, right? Because they were already. It was part of the deal they get to be. All the teams, I'm sure, share a piece of the MLB network.
Yeah. I guess the good thing is according to Gruppner that I heard is there's no blackout concerns doing it where they're doing it now, which is good. I mean, for us guys, I live in San Diego. I'd maybe go to 1 or 2 games a year, usually when you come out. So for me to be able to see the 160 games that are televised, it's a good thing knowing that I'm not ever going to get blacked out because of a neighbor, and even probably more for you because if they come into your area, then oh no, it's a conflicting market. I don't get to watch.
So that means that I'll know I can watch the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles now.
That's my understanding, but I am not 100% sure on that.
I can't. I have the MLB package, but I can't watch them because they're in my area. It's 5 hours away.
Yeah.
Without traffic, it's like 4.5, 5 hours away.
Yeah.
I'm not driving up there to go watch the game. Okay, thanks, Michael. Well, no blackouts unless
welcome, Michael,
national TV
as usual. So Michael's.
And ESPN opt out of their contract after 2025.
Yeah,
that was just reported before I we came on. So they're done. So we'll see who takes over. Hopefully.
Speaking of that, I didn't know if you knew this, Jack. I did not, but ESPN for ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, each team is I think it's built before September. So up until September, each team can only be on ESPN 5 times.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you do not get inundated with one team all the time, because otherwise, I think we'd probably have the Dodgers every other week.
Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs.
Yeah. And usually, and I know Michael's our Yankee fan that comes in and enjoys our Padre talk, but usually it's when Yankees play Boston. Anytime they're on a weekend, whether it's Boston or New York, they're almost always going to.
I get
great rivalry, but
I get it. Two big fan bases.
Yeah.
Rivalry. But you wonder about Major League Baseball. The contracts are just. I mean, the Dodgers are close to $400 million. They're at 393 right now.
Yeah.
And because you look at football, I saw a pie chart on football before the NFL season started. 66% of the money they make, that the NFL owners make, is from the TV contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They only make 16% from ticket sales.
Yeah.
So and you got to wonder. I don't know what baseball is, because you got to be thinking, okay, the Padres sell out. They're third in overall attendance, but they still don't have enough. I mean, they can do a $240 million payroll, but there's no way they can touch $400 million. So when I saw, I said, well, what's going to happen? I mean, I guess streaming service. That's why it was so important for the Padres to get Sasaki. I've been saying this over and over again. Not so much to have him as a player, but to get into that Japanese market that the Dodgers own.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. I mean, obviously you want to get it from all directions and everything, because revenue stream is important. It's so important that Manfred's come out twice in the last week, and by all words, he's basically said the Dodgers are not doing anything wrong. But what the Dodgers are doing are causing me concern. I guess that's the most the best way.
Why it's causing him concern, because other owners are complaining.
Yeah.
About what the Dodgers are doing. I mean,
but he keeps saying, "Oh, the system's not working," and of course, there's a part of me that screams at that article and says, "Well, then do something about it, because you're the commissioner and that's supposed to be your job." But I think this is one of those, I guess, slightly in his defense, that came roaring up from the last 2 years. I mean, it wasn't as big of a problem as it is now, because he even specified that the Guggenheim, conglomeration is what's causing the problem, because they have billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's just, it's not fair. I mean, so we can, keep going on. And again, the Dodgers are not doing anything against the rules. And if you're a Dodgers fan, of course, quit your whining. Oh, get your owners to, put more money into the team and everything. And it's like, you're being very short-sighted, and you're being very, for your team. Good for you. But if it was on the shoe was on the other foot, don't tell me that even as a Dodger fan, you wouldn't be going, wait a minute, what's going on here, folks? Why are we letting this happen?
We're old enough to remember. And I keep reminding Dodger fans that when the Yankees were the evil empire, when back in the late 70s, early in the 80s, 90s, and, before King George died, the Dodger fans hated. They said, this is not fair. There should be, because Dodgers were not spending money. The Dodgers built their team mainly through the farm system.
Yeah.
They pick up a free agent here or there, but they weren't like now where it's like boom, 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 boom. It was their farm system. They had a great farm system. Yeah. And they were always able to replace players. I don't think that farm system is as good as it used to be.
Well, we don't know, Jack. And again, so this is Padres. Yeah. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but here's what I'll say about the Dodgers. The Dodgers were nimble enough to change the model because of the Guggenheim Trust people.
Yeah.
They were nimble enough to say, hey, let's let Sager walk. Let's let Bellinger walk. Let's go out and get free agents that fit our model now. And they, so shame on Boston that they didn't pay Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Shame on them. shame on Atlanta that they didn't pay for Freddie Freeman. So,
Well,
and the Angels, Ohtani. I mean, so these are guys in all due rights. They were available to all teams, and the Dodgers ponied up. Now, again, the fact that they have the ability to pony up more than anybody else is what's unfair.
Yeah.
It's not what they're doing. They're smart enough about it, but it's still unfair. Yeah.
But with Freddie Freeman, it was his agent that didn't communicate an offer that the Braves made that he would have taken.
Yeah.
He was upset with he would have taken the offer.
Yeah.
He was, because he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave.
Right.
And the sad thing is,
a lot of these guys. I mean, he had 12 years with Atlanta. It's like Tatis said. I want one name on the front of my jersey when I retire. You
Right.
know, and I think there's a lot of guys that, given the right money and the right deals, that feel that way. It's like, hey, this is what I really want. So, it is what it is. It's gonna be fixed one way or the other after next year. But let's move on again. We got the Pavetta signing. I love our rotation. Whoever ends up being the fifth and sixth starters, I think we got a good core of people out there. And I saw an article today. There's still like half a dozen pretty good pitchers sitting out there waiting for somebody to give them a call.
It's a guy pitched for the Mets last year.
Quintana.
Yeah. I would take if the
lefty.
Recently, he's an innings eater. I mean, I don't know how. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how he gets people out.
Yeah,
but because he just floats.
Well, we thought the same thing about Martin Perez. When he, like, really,
yeah.
What's Preller thinking? And I kind of laughed because when Gurriel, excuse me, got signed, all the haters came out.
Hey, I was there,
and I don't get it. It's like, okay, it's $140,000 contract with. If he makes the club, it's $1.25 million. Hey, folks, let's all raise our hands if you thought, Solano and Peralta and Profar were going to be what they ended up last year.
But
you take a chance, and I don't even call it bargain based, but I just like, you know what? Hey, what's the money ball when they got the guy who plays David Justice and Billy Bean comes over and says, hey, are we going to be on the same page? And he goes, no, I kind of know what you want. And he goes, no, I don't think you do. The New York Yankees are paying your salary to play against them. And he kind of looked at it and he goes, okay, message received. I'm going to do whatever I want, So, there's something to be said about getting that last gasp, because that was Billy Bean's thing, is like, I want to squeeze every bit of what you got out this year for this team. And I feel like Prayler's got such a good eye, good scouter, that doesn't just mean farm system. That means veterans and guys that he sits there and says, I think we can fix that. I think we can get something out of it. And he's not 100%. Nobody is. But
I'll be the first one. If Gurriel has a great year, if he makes the team, has a great year, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. But when I saw it, I go, this guy hasn't done anything in 3 years, and he's 40.
Yeah.
Why are we wait? I mean, we don't. I think for me, it was like we don't have anyone in the minors that can do what he's doing for the league minimum. I think that's what frustrated me. I was like going, I don't get. Plus, he had the whole Darvish, and I get it. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Darvish said he was cool with it. So, I mean, Darvish is a class act. So let's face it, he's not going to do anything to stop the.
Well, he's already gone over and welcomed him, and now Gurriel has basically said, hey, I appreciate that he came over. Yeah, they're not going to get into the details. They're going to say, oh, well, he said this, and then I said this, and then he said this, and I said this. Yeah. They're big boys. Put your pants on and go out and play. And if it's good for the team, and that's what you like about this clubhouse, apparently. That's what's good about this clubhouse. Merrill says, hey, if you're on my team, you're my brother. And that's what you want to hear. Machado has always been very welcoming, and Tatis, and so that's a clubhouse thing, And my understanding is that Manny, when approached, said we need him.
That's what I heard.
He said, let's get him. So we'll see. I played softball, many years ago. And I remember getting on a team, and one of the guys that came over was somebody that I quite honestly did not like. And you know what? when he got on my team, it was like, he's not such a bad guy after all.
Well,
because
that
you
happened to me.
get between the lines, and it's like you almost hate the other team sometimes.
Yeah.
Not like I'm going to brawl, but I mean, you just don't like them, and then they get on your team, and Ricky Henderson. I didn't like Ricky Henderson. Gets on the Padres. I love Ricky Henderson. So,
Ricky, Ricky. That happened to me once. It was when I was playing hockey. A guy I got in a fight with.
Yeah.
Literally, we were throwing blows on the ice. Hated each other. Then he joined our team. We played defense together.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like one of my best buds. I mean, it was like one of those things. But there also, when I got older, and you got the hot head or something like that. I'm like going, okay, I don't want to fight. Yeah. I don't want to have to break up. I don't want to fight. I go, no, I don't want that guy. He's a instigator. He's going to start fights. And they go, but he's a good player. I go, I don't care. I don't want him on the team. That's how it was. As I got older, I changed. I don't want that jerk on my team.
Everybody would rather have kumbaya clubhouse or whatever you want to call it. Everybody would prefer to have that. But I always say the thing is the competitor in some of these guys is so strong that, again, they hate somebody on the other team. Your dad, and my dad, they grew up. It's like you never saw guys talking to the other team.
Oh, my dad hated it.
Oh, you never sat there in the outfield and chatted with the other team. The pitchers never wanted to hang around the hitters. The pitchers didn't share what they did to the other hitters with their own team because, like, someday you may get traded, and I don't want you to know what I'm doing.
Right.
So
well, you look at the first.
Some of this stuff has changed because of social media. I mean, Tatis was on Mookie Betts' podcast in the middle of the year.
Yeah,
like who does that? But that's not our generation. That's this generation.
Well, they also you see every first baseman is Chatty Cathy.
Yeah,
over there with the guy. I'm like, my dad. He hated that. He was sitting there. He goes, "That's your enemy."
Yeah.
I go, "Well, Dad, times have changed. You can still be competitive." But he goes, "Bob Gibson wouldn't die." I go, "Well."
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Going back to the Gurriel thing, I think this lines up with what Mike Schilt has always said about spring training. The last year he said it at the beginning. He goes, "Competition is good. I want everybody to have to compete for their position, where they're going to hit in the lineup. If they're going to play, if they're going to make the roster, that brings out the best because I need to see that. So." I think this is Prehller's way of bringing in Connor Joe, Sheets, Hayward, Gurriel. I mean, and then you got a couple other guys there that we'll find as spring training starts going, fighting for those one or two spots that are going to play, and then maybe one or two spots that are going to be benched and coming off the bench, and what role, and I think that's what this team needs because. That bottom third of the order, as we found out the difference between 2023 and the 2024, it can make or break the team because 2023, that was the failure of that team. The failure of that team was the bottom three being way, way under bad. Huge drop off. And you saw last year where, there was times where you look at a lineup, especially with Higgy going crazy. You're like, man, we're like 8 or 9 strong now. Like there's no let up here. And
well, we need a hitter to come. We need someone in left field to produce. And we still have a few, I think, holes in the lineup.
Well, we may,
but we wait and see what happens. My interesting thing is what's going to happen because you look at the bullpen, and there's like 10 guys that could make, and you can't have 10 guys. You can only have 13 pitchers unless one's a DH. Dodgers. You can because they don't have to list Ohtani as a pitcher.
Yeah, I know.
They could list him as a anyway. But I said these guys all have talent. Who's not making the team?
It's tough. I mean, that's where if you're one of the guys with options left, you're probably feeling like I'm really going to have to
have lights out.
Yeah, because you got some veterans who don't have any options left, and so the Padres are going to have to make that decision. And I'm sure it's tough. I'm sure that Niebla and Schilt are having many conversations about. I'd really like to keep this guy, but he's got an option left, and this guy doesn't, and he's not far off from being that guy. And But what a great thing to have, right? And look, I'm sure there's other teams that I'm not talking major players here, but there's other teams that if you say, hey, this guy's available, you give us something for it, we'll talk. But the bottom line is too is that, but especially the Padres case, they need some guys to go down to AAA and AA, because they need guys that they're going to need to pull up for injuries. And so we've said it many times on this show. The bullpen is probably the strongest part of this team.
Oh yeah,
and that's no offense to the offense, because I think we have a very strong core in the offensive side. But yeah, when you talk about where the strength and where the depth is, this team has got bullpen up the yazoo.
Because you look at Wandy Peralta, and you go,
yeah,
how does he make the team? But he's got $12 million left on his contract.
Yeah.
So,
I've kind of had my thoughts on that, for what it's worth, and I'm not trying to be Preller, but if the Padres, let's just say, are a trader at the deadline, I got the feeling that somebody like Peralta would be hooked up to the Dylan Cease or whoever is going and saying, well, to get this, you're going to have to take this too.
Yeah, I'm saying, but for the start of the season, I mean, there's.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, not every signing is a great signing. I know Matsui had an awesome second half compared to the first half, and maybe that's just too much expectations when somebody signs for $6 million or whatever it is, that you just think, oh, this guy should just come out of the shoot and go.
He was a much better pitcher in the second. Yeah. He wasn't used in the playoffs,
right?
But
he was hurt. Yeah.
So, I mean, you have him and Maury Home as left-handers. I mean, do you go with three left-handers? Because you have Adams.
I think you are. I mean, I honestly, Jack, whatever we feel, it's going to be Peralta, Matsui, and Morejon. I mean, if you want to talk about probably sureties that are going to make the team and be in the bullpen, that's the three right there. And then, like you said, we got Hoeing, Adam, Suarez, and Estrada. I mean, that's 7 spots right there to me that are just locked up. And then you're going to have your 5 starters. So you got maybe 1, maybe 2 that you can throw in the bullpen. So, you got Alex Jacob, you got Reynolds. I mean, it's just the list is long,
Yeah, that's why I was saying. I looked, and you got that guy we got from, what's the guy? Michael would know who this pitched for New York. What's his name?
Brito.
Huh?
Brito?
No, not Brito. That was we just got him this offseason. Anyway,
yeah.
I was just like, man, where are they going to pitch all these guys? I mean, it just
you can never have too much pitching, and that's
no, you can't. I'm just saying, like you said, it's going to come down to, like you say, like a not Shane Reynolds. That's Houston Astros.
Well, it's Sean, but
Sean Reynolds. Shane Reynolds pitched for. He was on the Gamblers.
He was on the Houston Astros. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on my gambling team. But yeah, he's probably. I mean, he's going to have a great spring because there's just no room for him.
Well, actually, to me, the guys that are going to have great springs are the guys like Alex Jacob, because I think Sean Reynolds has already proven that he belongs up.
Oh, he belongs.
There. Yeah,
but I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know. Again, and this is where hey, this is just a fan podcast, so we don't pretend to know statistics and deals and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know who's got what options left. And I've always understood that sometimes has more to do with it. I mean, how many times has a guy been brought up? He pitches a great game and you send him back down and you're like, wow, come on, this guy's been great or a guy gets injured for 10 days and he comes out of the bullpen 3 times and pitches great and they send him down. You're like, come on, man, you got to keep. Well, then this guy can't be sent down anymore. We'd have to cut him.
See if I can find it.
Yeah. Michael brings up a good point here. You beat me to the punch, Michael, because I like Sterling Marte except for his salary. I think I think he would be good. And I'd heard the same thing that well, of course it's Heyman. So Heyman just thinks everybody's going to steal everybody from the Padres. No, it's true. I mean,
It is true.
He's such a New York Met fan. It's unbelievable that he could be called non-prejudiced towards the Mets because, yeah. But I did hear though, the Sterling Marte, but they float the money, and then they, of course, this was what Dylan Cease or whoever it might be, and it's like, why would we do that? Why would Preller do that? He's this again. We've said this before. This is not a fire sale team. This is not.
No,
this is a contending team.
This
right
team has
now.
a chance to make the playoffs and do some damage.
Yeah.
Ron Moracoco, I can't read it. Whatever it is.
I like Michael's covet. It's Met fans are obnoxious there. It's been said.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Michael? I'm going to say right now, it's more the media. You live in New York. You're a Yankee fan. You got your own set of fans. I'm sure you realize that's much like we do. We've got the obnoxious ones here too.
Ronnie Nachos,
I think
that's what they call him.
Yeah, I think everybody's got, but it's the media that's the stir, and I guess that's just being a New Yorker. You got to stir the pot. You got to cause the drama. I was talking to Jack earlier and just said, that it's almost annoying if you're a true fan of a team to hear people come in and try to be the GM and, saying that the Padres aren't spending any money. And it's like, that's so far from the truth. They're right on the same plan, according to Eric Gruppner.
We remember the days.
We're paying the same payroll as what Peter Seidler said. We're doing exactly what Peter wanted us to do. The model he agreed with. We've already got our superstars. We're not the Dodgers. We can't go out and pay, $500 million for two players. So, Mari Nacho. Yeah. But no, I keep looking at this team and go, this is a great team still. I mean, we're not 1-9 and we're not 1-5 with starters, but man, we're pretty close.
We're ranked in the top 10 in power rankings on everybody's board. So again, it's not, and like I said, it's the bullpen that's going to carry us.
Yeah.
I think the bullpen is going to keep us in a lot of games. That's even if they trade Suarez.
Yeah.
Even if they trade Suarez for a hitter. I
think a lot of it's got to do with health. And that's the one thing I have found as a lifelong baseball fan is your starters or, your starting 9, your starting 5, your closer or whatever. If they're strong, you're like, okay, we're set. But you got to kind of dig under the covers, so to speak. It's like, okay, but if somebody goes down, what do you got? What if one of your starters goes down? And I think that's, if you want to talk about the advantage, that's the Dodger advantage. They've got 7 starters, 8 starters. So you got to give it to them. They're definitely deep. Now I don't know how they're going to use all those guys because they went out and bought a bullpen too. So that's going to be their problem. I don't know. Every time they made a deal, even Dodger fans were like, well, who are we going to cut now? Because you do get to a point where you're like, okay, well, who's not going to go?
Well, I guess this guy's not going to,
and if you're in the Dodger farm system, we've said before, it's like, man, you got to be going, where am I going to ever play? Am I ever going to get a chance? So, good problem for them to have, obviously, but for us,
but that could also build
2 or 3 years away with our farm system. I like what I'm seeing, but we're 2 or 3 years away. And yes, fans, Preller did trade it away. And because they're in a compete every year mode. So sometimes you got to go a little deeper and give up a little something for that opportunity. And I'm glad he did what he did last year because you know what? It was a great year. We had 24 innings of stink at the end. But other than that, I couldn't think of a better year to watch Padre baseball and to be a fan. So.
It was a great year.
Yeah.
And again, they built a fan base. There's a huge fan base because we're trading for the future, but how you don't know if these guys are going to come up and be productive. I mean, Merrill, outstanding, but that's rare that a guy comes up and hits and does what Merrill did. I mean, just above and beyond. But
the Padres saw that coming, though. I mean, you got to give them credit because it's been made pretty public knowledge. Before the year started, they tried to extend him. I mean, that's kind of good scouting if you think about it. Like, we already know this guy's going to be really, really good, and they tried to extend him before he even played an inning in the major league level. Kind of like the Churios deal, where Milwaukee did the same thing. It's like, this guy hasn't even made the team yet, and they gave him a 7-year contract.
And it looks like a bargain.
Well, and who knows, right? And knock on wood. Let's hope that Jackson comes and plays like he did last year, and even better, or around the same. I take the same. I take a blueprint for the next 7 years, 6 years, but it gets more expensive that way. But we've talked about it, Jack. I think me and you are pretty much on the same page. I don't feel comfortable with anybody more than 5 years, because man, as a Padre fan, hey, Hosmer was good for a couple of years. He really was. He was good for a couple of years, and then it just kind of fell off. Then now you end up paying somebody for the next 3 years.
I go, we should get him off his podcast, get his butt in shape, and then put him back at first base, because we're still paying him.
He had a podcast and he had Will Myers on there, and he made something like, I love the comment that it's like, well, you're still liked in San Diego as opposed to others. He was talking about himself, of course. Yeah, I liked Eric Hosmer. He brought leadership in. I think in deference to him, he didn't have the supporting cast that Manny had after he got here. So each guy builds on another. And
he didn't.
You got to get help.
He didn't. But the difference is, it's like he used to be really good defensively.
Yeah.
He became terrible defensively. Right. I mean, it's almost like he didn't care anymore. I mean, I want to get in his head, but I go, it just seemed like, okay, his hitting wasn't doing well, and his defense. I mean, he was making plays at first base. Like I think we were talking last year about, well, could Campy play first base? And we say, well, it's more difficult than it looks. He was looking like he had never played first base before. Yeah. I mean, he was trying to catch. I mean, I was sitting there, you go, what is he doing?
Well, you always worry about that, right? I mean, that was the concern with Bogaerts going to second. And what I think gets lost in the Bogaerts thing is that we had Kim, and Kim was the best infielder, period.
Yeah.
I mean, Kim to me was even better than Manny, and that's saying something, but so you got your best guy over at short. So that's the biggest reason. But Bogaerts was not bad. That's I think people have painted the wrong picture here.
No, he wasn't bad.
This was not about moving Bogaerts because he was no longer a good defensive shortstop. It's just we had a better one. And it's interesting because I like the way that he was talking about it. That the strain of learning a new position that late. And he's being very kind about it, getting late notice of it and everything like that. And Shilton Preller even said, wish we would have done it a little different. But what he said was, and we can understand that as older guys. It made me sore in places I wasn't used to, because now I'm throwing across my body instead of with it. And and anybody would tell you that, anytime you change a position, unless you've just been doing it the whole time, these super utility guys that can play anywhere, it's hard to get really good at something if it's not repetition.
And it is harder.
He's coming back healthy. Machado's coming back healthy. Tatis is coming. Everybody's healthy this year. In fact, even Manny, who never says he's 100% healthy, actually said 100% healthy. Today, but
that's what he said today.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that he couldn't even say that going into spring training last year. So, this is the year. We said it last podcast. We'll stick to it, right? The big three need to be the big three this year.
They have to produce.
That is the number one priority to me. Those three have got to produce, and I'm not just saying they're the only ones, but they got the big contracts, and they recognize that. Bogaerts recognize that. Tatis is like, yes. We are being paid to be those guys, so we need to be those guys. Yeah.
Well, they said Tatis was only 60% last year with his leg.
Yeah,
and now he's 100%. Michael says the Rays are always a good team to
always
for their farm system. We always do well trading with the Rays for the most part.
Yeah,
we there's always guys on the Rays because they're always looking to trade.
Well, them and the Marlins. I mean,
Yeah.
Preylor's got the Marlins GM on speed dial. I mean,
Yeah.
this is. I mean, I know he just had Tommy John, but man, I'd love to have Alcantara, man.
Oh yeah.
You got what this year, next year, the year after, I believe, on his, and he's getting paid. I mean, this is not a cheapy
The,
guy, but man,
but the
love to
problem
have
is
that
the
guy.
the
Yeah,
Marlins are going to get sued by the Players Association because their payroll's so low
yeah,
that they're
yeah,
like they can't afford to trade him because they'll be even lower
yeah,
on their pay. I think he's making $17 million this year. They
yeah.
only have a $43 million payroll. I mean, as a
Well,
as a as a Padre fan who's been through that,
yeah,
where your owner doesn't put any money into the team, that is a frustrating thing. I mean, people bash
yeah,
Marlin fans for not showing up. It's hard to show up when your owner isn't. I
yeah.
mean, I don't expect them to put up with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the
Right.
Mets, but they should be able to have a bigger payroll than $43 million.
Well, that's why there's a big cry through fanship and even ownership. I think that hey, there has to be a minimum
Yeah,
salary level,
yeah,
and that I think that's going to be just as much of a conversation at the end of this one, this agreement, because I think it's real. I agree with you. I mean, again, two long suffering Padre fans who've gone through so multiple bad owners and ownerships and poor ownerships, and you can't ever get to know anybody. It's the same. I mean, it wasn't until about 4 years ago when my middle son was growing up, and he's a big Padre fan to this day, and he's really good at like remembering, who was on what team and everything. And I said, I don't have your memory, but I went back I think it was like the 2020 season or whatever. And I went back 5 years and I'm like, there's like one guy on this team that was there 5 years ago. And there's three guys that were there 3 years ago. It's just that and that's insane. It's like, okay, how can you ever get a clubhouse? And I think that's what Peter Seidler was trying to get to when he signed, Machado and Tatis and these guys. I think that's what he really wanted more than is a stable environment that says year in, year out, you're going to have these 6, 8 guys that are just going to be a constant. They're going to be
right.
there, and you're going to, and so free agency hopefully goes your way a little bit more than maybe the guys that were on the hedge. You've heard, guys like Arise, who's got traded here and says, I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to be
Because
here.
I
Yeah.
love this jersey,
Yeah.
and
You
I
know,
you know I don't want to
and you
trade it.
want to hear that. You want to
Yeah,
hear that because we lost Adrian Gonzalez. Could have been a local folk hero if he
yeah.
would have just stayed with the Padres.
He
And
carried in 2010. He
yeah,
carried the team.
exactly.
Him and Milton Bradley until Milton Bradley went psycho and
Yeah, started making games. Yeah.
Bud Black tackled him and tore his leg up or whatever. That big collapse we had in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he definitely was a gamer. But
But that's something that I think the Padres have improved on. And look, I'm a fan, but I'm not oblivious. There's other good clubhouses. We talked about last week. There's other good clubhouses, other good organizations. I'm just thankful we've got a good clubhouse. I think we have a really good organization. I think this lawsuit kind of got everybody really worried, but I haven't noticed any difference in the last month. And Eric Grupner came out and says we haven't changed a thing. We're going full steam ahead.
the team's
I've
not
not
for sale. We're not moving
not
the
for
team.
sale. I haven't gotten any restrictions. Any different than what we were at before. So that stability I think is good. Look, we can both agree the timing of that coming out was horrible because you're
Yeah.
trying to get guys to come over here, but it is what it is. And hey, we still got Pavetta. We're getting guys that seemingly guys on our team already like too. A lot
Right.
of these guys they're signing are people that either a Manny or one of the other guys have said, yeah, get that guy. I like that. He's got something to bring to the team. And I know it's spring training and we do this all the time. Whether you're a fan of whatever team, I'm optimistic. I really am optimistic. I know we'll get into our picks before we get to the season and everything, but I don't see any reason why they can't duplicate last year.
I mean,
I don't.
it's not like again. I hate to keep picking on the Marlins, but again, I've been there where you go into the season going, all right, we're not gonna we'll be lucky if we finish
Yeah.
out of last place. I mean, as a Padre fan, we've said it. we've been there. It's just like this season, no, we haven't. I mean, there's because you can tell the new Padre fans, and I have no problem with new Padre fans.
Yeah.
But
Come on board. Yeah.
But sometimes they got to stop and think, okay, how was it before?
Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. As a Padre fan of many years, there were many years, more years than not, where it's like, can we please be close to 500 by the All-Star break? Please.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we don't make the playoffs, can we at least, because I remember so many times before Memorial Day, we were already 15, 18 games down.
Yeah.
And you'll find it difficult to even turn the remote and turn on the Padre game. Because in 5 innings, it's 5-0, and you're like, oh, here we go again. What else is on TV?
I know when I was younger, I said, why don't they call up this rookie so I can watch the rookie play?
Yeah,
just because the team was so bad, you'd say, okay, bring up this Gwynn kid, and Padres are actually starting to turn the corner then. But
yeah,
I remember, just hey, bring up these guys that you hear in the minors, but. Again, Padres have a chance. I mean, I think what's depressing is you're in the same division as the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks improved, and the Giants improved. Now the Rockies, on the other hand,
are still the Rockies.
They got no chance.
Yeah.
They have no chance. They're like the Marlins. They have one big signing.
Well, and you talk about a team that had fans. I mean,
yes.
When they had when they had Larry Walker, Andres Galarraga, Dante Bichette, they were drawing millions.
That place was packed.
Yeah, and beautiful stadium. I've been there. It's absolutely a gorgeous stadium. Again, you can commiserate with them because you understand what that's like. Because yes, there's nothing more depressing than getting into your favorite sport. Starting the season and knowing I have absolutely zero chance of seeing a playoff team.
Yeah.
Especially in this division. Especially, even if they were if you put them and the Marlins and the Pirates and, maybe a couple other, deadbeats, then you might have a chance. But, or just get yourself and go to the NL Central, because anybody in the Central can win. So, yeah.
The Marlins and Michael makes a good point. The year the Marlins and Rockies came to the league, it must be cursed.
Well, thing is the Marlins got more world championships than the '69 Padres. So
yeah, they do. 2 World Series.
Yeah,
but it's funny. The only problem with the Marlins, they always dismantled their team after they won the World Series.
Well, I mean, we did the same thing. We dismantled the team after we made the World Series and played Mike's beloved Yankee dynasty ready to happen.
Yeah.
I always say that's the curse of San Diego sports.
But what's funny is
you always seem to be playing the dynasty, the guys that are in the dynasty, and I know the Chargers are no longer here, but they played the San Francisco 49ers, who were about ready to reel off, 3 world championships with Steve Young and Jerry Rice and all those guys. And you got the 84 Padres had to play the Detroit Tigers.
At least the game was close.
Yeah, right. But the Padres in '84 play the Detroit Tigers, who started out 35-5 that year.
Yeah,
got to play the Yankees, and again 3 out of the next 4 years, they won the World Championship. So,
and fun thing is that '84 team,
they was not a very good team.
It's not a good. I mean, you look at the team, you go, okay.
Yeah, that was not a very good team.
How did they make? I mean, they had a very strong. They had a strong bullpen.
Yeah,
a few good starters. And
a few, not even a lot. A few good starters.
A few good starters.
Yeah.
And they had,
Tony Gwynn and McReynolds and Martinez and Craig Nettles. It was the old man squad. Ghost Gossage
and Alan Wiggins was. People forget what Alan Wiggins was valuable to the team.
Yeah.
But on paper, that's not. I mean, Terry Kennedy was a good catcher, but it's not. You look at all the history of Padres teams. You go. Because I'm looking at it right now. I have a plaque up here with the team, and I go, man, I still don't see how that team went to the World Series. I mean, they won a game.
Yeah,
they won a game. I mean, that's
the Kurt Pavakwa game. Yeah,
yeah.
But then to your point, then you go measure it against the '98 team, and it's like that was a really good team.
Yeah,
like that lineup was scary.
Yeah.
Scary. But that's part of the. I'm going to go back to the Dodgers. That's part of what you look at and you go, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Make the playoffs, and then anything can happen.
Right.
The Rangers and the Diamondbacks did it a couple of years ago. There's no sure thing for all the arguments and all the frustration I've seen with what the Dodgers are doing, and everybody else can't, and them saying, oh well, get your owners to spend more. For all of that, the eternal hope in me is like, what? That's one playoff spot. There's six others, or five others are available, six others available. Well, let's go get one, and then anything can happen.
And to Padres' credit, they have said, if they have it, if they're having a good year, they will make moves to improve the team like they have in the past, where they got Tanner Scott last year and added other players, where they've added players like Juan Soto when they did that one year. So again, as long as they're willing to do that, I'm okay.
I mean, I agree. I mean, to me, that's good talk. They talked to the Milwaukee owner, and talking about what's going on about, because Milwaukee's famous for not spending money. They just let Willie Adames, is a guy that I wish in another day that we could have had. Granted, it's another shortstop, but I really like him. I think he's an up and coming, player. He's already there, but I mean, he's got another level to go. But they talked to him, and he made the mistake of saying, well, my goal is to give families entertainment. That's it. Not anything about like we want to win a World Series, we want to win a championship. The value of my team is to provide families with entertainment. Well, if you're a ball player on that team, you're just got to be going, are you kidding me? Like, just that's it. We don't care if we win a championship. We don't care, if we win. I mean, I heard it and I'm just like, God, I'm glad that's not our owner. I really am. I to your point, Jack, I want somebody that's willing to say, hey, you know what? We may not spend it all right now, but if we get in position, maybe that's the reason we go over the tax and up a little bit more on the luxury tax.
Yeah, I mean they're willing,
but I'm not going to do it now because I feel like I got the goods that I need right now.
Even though Milwaukee's been competitive like the last 6-7 years, they were 16th in attendance. I'm looking it up right now, and when I watched them play. Like when they're playing it seems like there's just Padre fans there.
Well, they've spent zero money. They're one of the, I think 2 or 3 teams that have spent zero money in the offseason. It's like this is who we are. Adames walked. I mean, and it's hard to they've let Corbin Burns walk.
The reliever,
Devin Williams, they let him walk. So and then Josh Hader back when he was with them. So if you're a fan, as we know that, we let Adrian Gonzalez walk. We signed Jake Peavy to a 7-year deal and gave him 1 year, and he was gone. It's frustrating because you want to believe in your ownership, and I think I still believe the Padres got a good enough ownership that we can believe, and we're not going to have to worry about a fire sale. We're not have to worry about them going to LA and becoming the third LA team.
Share the stadium with the Dodgers.
Well, and look, let's face it, fans are created by ownership. I've said that for many years. You look at a lot of the like the New York Yankee fans. I think there's Mike could probably tell me this, whether or not, but I would say that Yankee fans are there because of guys like George Steinbrenner who've got the history in mind and doing the things. I think Cohen is trying to do that with the Mets, but I think there's more Yankee fans than there are Mets fans. I know
Yankee fans.
I know Yankee fans more worldwide than there are Mets fans. There's no doubt about it. And you got to say the same thing about the Dodgers. Winning and good ownership, breeds people coming out. I tell you what, I think the Dodger fan base has doubled since McCourt left, because he was a bad owner. And of course, that's what a lot of my answer is to a lot of the Dodger fans is like, you know what, you keep, you got a great ownership now, but before you start getting up on your high horse, remember 10 years ago when McCourt was your owner and how much you hated that? Well, sometimes other teams are like that, and other fans have to deal with that. So I've remember a little bit,
I've said it on this show. Many Dodger fans, I said McCourt wouldn't even be top 3 in our worst owners of the Padres.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Yeah. But anyway, and I like Cohen was complaining the other day that the fans didn't show up last year for the Mets. I think they're 18th, 19th in attendance.
Yeah.
And people I get it. You spend all that money. You
Yeah.
expect, of course, they start out slow last year. I mean, they weren't very good in the first month of the season, but towards the end of the season, they were one of the best teams in baseball. But,
Well, people want to go see winners,
Yeah.
and look, the Padre fanship did not start overnight. You know
No.
that. It
Oh,
took a
yeah.
while to build because we've had the apple in front of us too many times and gone dove for it only to see it just pulled away. The 98 team with John Morris, and granted, divorce does that. I mean, and you have things like that happen. But that was a serious, serious downfall. The year that after they get Petco Park approved, dismantled the team. Absolutely dismantled.
I think it started with they offered Kevin Brown $60 million for whatever amount of years, and the Dodgers came in with $105 million. And of course, Kevin Brown said it wasn't about the money; he just wanted to be closer to his home in Atlanta.
Yeah,
because Los Angeles is so much closer to Atlanta than was one of the stupider things. I've always remembered because it was the dumbest thing ever. But I think after that, and then Caminiti was hurt. His body had just given out. But they kept Finley, I think, for a while. Then they let him go, which was a mistake.
Yeah.
And then John Morris didn't keep his promise.
No, and again, we know why, because he had a divorce, and all of a sudden, all that wealth gets split in two, and
he made
a lot of money.
Even though he helped, he put like $100 million towards the stadium.
Yeah,
he made like $2 billion. I mean, he
has the hotel, across the street, or
the Omni Hotel, and all those condos and stuff.
Yeah,
he had a part in it. So
it's funny. A couple of years ago, an economist, not a baseball fan, an economist came out, and it was during much of the debate and the ballyhoo about whether cities should, fund stadiums. And this economist did an in-depth study. I mean, in-depth. And out of all the stadiums, and there was a list of about 15 or 20 that have been publicly funded through the years, Petco was the only one. He said the only one that ended up even. All the other cities lost money. And he said the only reason that Petco is because of what it did to the surrounding area. That was the only reason. Otherwise, he said the stadium alone was not enough. But because of the outlying area, the city had some deals that they got some money out of that, and it's the closest they've come to making it even. So,
that's why I changed.
That's why they need to be individuals. That's why you need to be individually rich to own a baseball team.
Yeah, you look at the Chargers, and that's what hurt the Chargers is city was already losing money at Qualcomm.
Yeah,
they didn't want to have to go build and lose more money.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's here or there. But anyway, I think I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I know spring training is kind of hard. I like to, focus on a few young guys and.
Oh, you like to see who pops out of the woodwork, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the surprises. Yeah. Because you know what Machado's going to do. You know what Tatis going to do. But I think
we said about Merrill.
Yeah.
Merrill was like, okay, hopefully he can have a good spring. And he had a great spring and they carried over into the regular season. So, every now and then you get this guy that comes out of nowhere and has a good spring. I'm thinking it might be a pitcher. I think it's one of those young pitchers might come through. But
he's got to be that fifth starter. So, unless they're going to trade for somebody else, somebody's got to be that fifth starter. Yeah. It's always interesting. I tend to be more of the middle of spring training kind of watcher, because the first – 3 or 4 games, you see like one at bat from some of the semi-regulars and regulars.
Right.
The rest is kind of like a AAA game. What I like is when you see, and where I'm interested is when a proven major leaguer pitches, and then you see some of the young guys hit against them, or vice versa.
Right.
Because these first couple of games is literally like, okay, these guys have played against each other over the years already. This is like a AAA, AA game. So, hey, baseball back. Can't wait for the season. We're maybe a month and a week away from opening day. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm looking forward. Sitting there the other day going, what am I going to watch?
Yeah.
And it's tough for me. I'm on the East Coast, so some of these Padre games, it's like All right, I can't stay up and watch this whole thing. I can't because I got grandkids in the morning. I can't stay up till 1 o'clock.
But you will.
But it's funny though, okay, one more inning. I go, all right, this game's too close. I got to know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be honest with you, I've gone to sleep, slept for like an hour, wake up and come watch the end of the game. In the room I'm in right now, I go, oh, glad I woke up for this game. And sometimes it's like, how did they lose that game? But anyways, it's baseball, it's sports. Yeah. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Hopefully Jay will remember that Thursday night is the night we record.
Jay, this is for you. Thursday night, 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern, every week.
And thanks for Michael joining us and Tamara. And I think that there was other people here, but they didn't chat.
Don't be afraid to get in the chat. Don't be afraid. Hit that subscribe button. We're pretty regular, but and be patient because sometimes we're 5 minutes behind. But next week, Jack, let's see what spring training looks like, man. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just I'm hungry for some baseball because last season it ended on a sour note. But it's funny. It didn't. I was like a couple days. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't make it.
Yeah.
Dodgers. I mean,
as did 29 other teams.
Yeah. Dodgers were a great team. There's no harm in losing to them. I just hated losing to them because it's the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But overall, great. It was a great season. It was exciting, fun, and all that fun stuff. Hopefully, it carries over to this year, and hopefully, I get out to Petco, San Diego, and see a few games because it's so electric there.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. Yeah. It's not like in the late 70s, early 80s when you went to a game and you'd be like, and the guy, well, probably you used to sell peanuts, hot dogs, right?
Hot dogs, yeah.
Some guy you'd be over in right field stands. You're at the left field stands and hot dog. Yeah, I'll take one. And so the guy you'd have to walk all the way around the stadium.
Best job I ever had. Best job I ever had. Back in the days where they only drew about 3,000 or 4,000. I'd go out. I was on the loge section, the middle section, for those who don't know what the old Padres Stadium looked like. And I'd go down about every 2 innings. I had about 2 sections that would actually have people in the seats. I'd yell hot dog, maybe make 1 or 2, and then go back and sit up there and watch the game until get to 2 innings later.
Yeah, it was pretty, because that was a big stadium, especially when they kept expanding it. Yeah. And it was empty.
Yeah.
It was so empty. But great memories, great times being there. But anyway.
More to be made.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And we'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel. Yeah. I'm out. Hasta luego. And bye.